Hi, I'm Helen and welcome to my channel. Today's class is for the third eye chakra, the Ajna Chakra. So we'll be focusing on balancing and some poses that will help us develop our concentration and awareness. If you're interested in the chakras, please check out the link below this video. I have a free guide on how to balance your chakras, how to identify when they're excessive or deficient. And also there's a link to my upcoming chakra course, which should be launching in January. I'm really excited about it. It'll be the whole kit and caboodle, all about the chakras. There's so much to learn, far too much to squeeze into a video on YouTube. And I'm really excited about it and I hope you'll join me for it. So without further ado, we'll start today's class and we'll start standing up. So come to the feet. Stand in the center of your mat and bring your awareness to the feet. Bring the big toes together with a gap slightly between the heels. Stack the knees over the ankles, the hips over the knees, shoulders above the hips, down and away from the ears. Just bring the hands by the side and close the windows of the eyes and just start to center in on your breath. So a nice deep inhale, deep exhale. Just continue with this breathing. And as you stand here, just start to check in with the body, how you're feeling. There should be equal weight in both feet, standing in this nice neutral position. No tension anywhere, the chin is parallel to the floor. Deep breaths. And as you start to slow your breathing, it helps us calm the mind. So the sixth chakra, the Ajna Chakra, the third eye, is all about the seat of our awareness and our cognitive mind. And then slowly flutter the eyes open. So just wake up the spine. On an inhale, palms come up to the sky, look up to the fingertips. And as you exhale, bring them back down to the sides. Again, inhale, lift. Exhale, down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. This time, inhale, lift the arms up. Take the left hand and circle the right wrist. And then tip over to the left, making sure you're grounding down into that right foot. Feeling the stretch all down the right side body. Breathing here. And inhale, center. And then take the other wrist, so the left wrist with the right fingertips, and exhale over to the right. Grounding down into that left heel. Inhale, lift. Once more over to the left. Always using the breath. Inhale, lift. Exhale over to the right. Inhale, lift. And bring the arms back down. So inhale, arms come out to a T. And as you exhale, you're going to twist round to the left. So I'm a bit hindered by my wall here, but try to keep the pelvis facing forward and the twist coming from the mid-back. Shoulders are relaxed. Then inhale, center, and then over to the other side. Deep breathing. Inhale, center. One more to the left. Inhale, center, and then over to the right. Inhale, center, and bring the hands down. So moving to our first third chakra kind of pose. This is called drawing the line. So I will face forwards for this, but you're going to remain static in one place. I'll try and get off a squeaky floorboard. Keep the feet hip distance apart and really ground down into all four corners of the feet. On an inhale, the palms come up to the sky. And just look up towards your wrists and imagine you have a beam of light coming down from the wrists into your third eye, into the forehead, going all the way down your spine through all the other chakras down to your root. Just close your eyes here and visualize this beam of golden light. And then open the eyes. And keeping the hands where they are, interlace the back 3 fingers, pressing the index fingers together and the thumbs together in this mudra. And on an inhale, tip slowly backwards as far as your flexibility will allow. And as you exhale, come back up forwards. And then inhale again and tip forward slowly from the waist, keeping your eyes on your wrists. Imagine you're drawing a line all the way down to the floor, down between your feet. And then inhale, slowly come back up, imagining this beam of light coming out the end of your fingers, keeping your focus there, drawing a line all the way up the wall, across the ceiling, maybe a mini back bend. Exhale, inhale forward, drawing the line again. Imagine this beam of light, focusing your attention on your fingertips or your wrists, drawing this line all the way down to the feet, and then come back up again. And then exhale to center, and then bring the palms down. And we'll move now into a balance. So balances are brilliant for raising your concentration, sharpening your focus, staying in the present and bringing your awareness to one thing. So we'll do tree pose for Ikshasana. So I'll mirror you, ground down into this left foot. The key to all balances is a fixed gazing point. Spread the toes and grip the floor with all 4 corners of the feet, which is the inner and outer heel and the big toe and the little toe. And then just start to bring your weight into this left leg. So keep this left leg nice and active, engaged, and externally rotate the right leg. So you can bring the ball of the foot to the floor, hands on the hips, and start to center in on your midline. Engage your root lock, your mula bandha, that's the perineum. That gives you a lot of stability in the core. Stack the body over the hips. Now this might be your position. Get a fixed gazing point. Maybe you can bring the foot to the inside of the shin, or maybe it comes up to the inner thigh. Wherever it is, press together. So press the left leg into the right foot and vice versa. Scoop this right glute under like an ice cream scoop. Rise out of the waist, shoulders are relaxed. Get your fixed gazing point. Bring the palms to the chest. You can stay here, or you can bring them up overhead. You can extend your branches. It's actually easier to extend the arms out. It's easier to maintain your balance when you've got this wider space. Breathe here. Then bring the hands back to the chest. This right knee comes forward and release down. Shake it out. Second side. Easy side. Grounding into this right foot. Get the stable base, like the root of a tree. Really grounding into all 4 corners. Externally rotate this hip. Engage the core, engage the midline, engage your root lock, your mula bandha. Maybe bring the foot to the shin, or if it's available, to the inner thigh. Remember, union of opposites, really pressing in to the thigh and the foot. Scooping this glute under. Deep breaths, fixed gazing point. Maybe lift the hands up, maybe extend your branches. Breathe here. Keeping that right leg engaged. Shoulders are relaxed, jaw is relaxed. Concentrating on that fixed point. Remembering to breathe. We have a tendency to hold our breath in these balancing poses. The yoga is all about the breath. And then exhale, bring the hands down. Knee comes back in, release down and shake it out. So that was a balance with an external hip rotation. We'll now do one with an internal hip rotation. So this is Eagle Pose, Garudasana. I'll come here because it's a bit squeaky. So for this pose, the key is bending the knees. So ground down into this left foot and start to bring all the weight into the left foot. Bend the knee. And then lift up the right leg and cross over as if you're sitting in a chair and you're crossing your legs. So you can bring the toes down to the floor like a kickstand. This might be your eagle legs. If it's available to you, you might be able to double wrap. So this does depend on the size of your calves and the internal rotation of your hips. If you sit a bit deeper, you can sometimes find the wrap is a little bit easier. So zipping up this midline, activating that root lock, and then take the hands out. And the right arm is the left arm will come under the right. Maybe you hold your shoulders. Maybe you bring the backs of the hands together, or maybe you do a wrap. Whatever position you're in, find that fixed gazing point and breathe. Oh, I've got no balance today. If you fall out like me, just come back in. And then release. So that's quite strengthening for the leg. You find some days you can balance and some days you can't. Take each day as it comes. If you fall out, it doesn't mean you're a bad person, it just means you fell out of a balance. So we'll do the second side. So this time grounding into the right leg, lifting the left leg over and doing the wrap. So you may have this kickstand, you may double wrap. Arms come out to a T, and this time the left arm will come over the right. Get your arm position. Lift up the elbows, find the fixed gazing point. Calm the mind, steady the breath, breathe. And then release and shake it out. So in general with your hips, you'll find most people either have external rotation or they have internal. You're either an external or an internal person. From here we're going to move into Warrior 3, transitioning into Half Moon. So you may need a block. If you need a block for Half Moon, get it in a relevant place on your mat. And just we'll start with a stable base of grounding into both feet. Really plug down into this left foot, engage the leg, bring the hands to the chest and start to tip forward at the waist like a seesaw. Engaging your root lock, activating the core, activating the whole back body. Back leg is bone straight, foot flexed. Breathe here. And then bring this left hand down, right hand to the hip. And we'll open into half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana. Releasing the right arm up to the sky, stacking the shoulders. Gazing point can be at the floor. If you want to challenge your balance, you can look up to the sky. So for some reason I'm really wobbly today, so I'm gonna keep looking at the floor. But do whatever's good for you. Some days I can balance really well, and other days I can't. And then we'll return to warrior three. So close this hip, bend gently into the standing leg, come back up and release down. Shake out the leg. So there's quite a lot of work for the left leg. So these balances are really good to help strengthen our legs, and we'll do the other side. So grounding into the right foot, all the weight comes into this right foot, hips are facing forward. Start with your root lock, engage the core, palms to the chest, shoulders relaxed, left leg extends behind and then tip forward from the waist. Fixed gazing point, the whole of the back body is engaged. Back leg is as straight as you can make it, foot flexed. Breathe. And then this right hand comes down, left hand to the hip. Open this pelvis to the left. Stacking the shoulders, left arm up to the sky. Half moon. Breathing here. Really reaching out of every single limb. And then close this hip down. Palms come back to the chest. Back to warrior three. And then come back up to Tadasana. Shake it out. So we'll do a bit more work on the hamstrings. We're going to build up to a pose that really helps us turn inward, which is what we do with the third chakra when it's activated. So you may need blocks here. We'll start with pyramid pose. So this is just opening the hamstrings. We'll be moving into quite a deep forward bend that needs some openness in the backs of the legs. So grounding into the left foot, bring the right foot forward and stand so your heels are almost on the same lines. And hips come forward. Ground down into all four corners of both feet, lengthen out of the waist. And then tip forward from the waist. So the movement is coming from the hips. I'm going to be folding this body in half, not this. If you can only come down this far, this is your range of motion, that's fine, stay here. If it's available to you and you've got blocks, maybe bring the hands to the floor. Make sure this right hip is coming back and the left hip is coming forward. Breathe here. So you should really feel this is intense in the back of the right leg. Remembering to fold from the waist and just breathe here. So as you breathe here and stay here, you may find you can get a little bit deeper. Your hands might come to the floor. If it's available to you, you may turn the hands backwards, so your fingertips are pointing towards the back foot. Maybe you can release your head towards the leg. Maybe your third eye touches your shin. Maybe not. And then inhale, slowly lift the body up to the halfway point, and we're going to move into a standing split. So bend into this right foot, hands come down to the floor or the blocks, and propel yourself up so the left leg comes up, and folding again from the waist, bringing the third eye to the shin, left leg up to the sky. Breathe here. If you really want to test your balance and your concentration, maybe bring the right hand behind the right shin, calf. You can also bring the left hand there as well. And breathe. And then gently step back to a lunge. Plant the hands. Step back plank. Maybe chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. And then lift the left leg to the sky, and we'll do the other side. So left foot steps up. Get your blocks handy and straighten this front leg. So hips are parallel facing forward. This left hip is pulling back and the right hip is coming forward. Lengthen out of the waist. You can have the hands to the waist and be here. The important thing is that you're feeling this in the hamstrings and not round in the upper back. And just start to breathe. Center in. Observe when you're feeling the tension. Send the breath there. Mind-body connection. And as you breathe and surrender, and I know this is intense, maybe the hands come down. You'll probably feel differences in both hamstrings. For me, this left hamstring is a lot tighter than my right. Well, that's okay. And the transition is into standing split. So start to bring your awareness to this left foot. Bend into the front knee, and remember you can always use your blocks. This right leg comes up behind, head comes down. So you can bring the fingertips to the floor if it's available to you. Blocks are always good to use. And this right leg is straight behind, keeping the hip closed, and allow the body to come to the floor. Again, if you want to test your concentration and your balance, you can bring one hand to the back of the calf and then the other. And then release down, plant the hands, step back. Downward facing dog, move for a vinyasa if it feels good for you. And then we'll make our way onto the seat. So we'll do one more forward fold before we move into a peak pose. Paschimottanasana. So pull the flesh of the glutes back. So your sit bones are on the earth, legs are extended. You're reaching out of the waist. Remember, if this is a bit tough on your hamstrings, you can always sit on a blanket to elevate the hips. That helps. You can also always keep the legs bent like this. There's always modifications in yoga because all of our bodies are different. We're all at different stages in our practice. We all have different genetics and physiology anyway. So you can practice for 20 years and you may never reach your feet, and that's all down to your own anatomy. So take a deep breath, lengthen out of the waist, and as you exhale, fold forward from the hips. Hands can come to the floor, to the shins, to the feet. Maybe you take your peace fingers around your big toes. Inhale, lengthen out of the waist, straighten in, and exhale, descend forward. Surrender and breathe. 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then inhale, lift up. So move into tortoise pose, which is quite a tough pose to do. There are various stages of it, so I'll face you for this. So just bring the legs out to a wide seated fold. First of all, we'll start just by doing the forward fold seated like this. So really pressing down into these legs with the feet facing upwards, lengthening out of the waist, and then tipping forward from the hips. And you can use blocks here to bring your elbows down. Hands can come to the floor, but again, remember to keep the back straight. This is what it's important, to keep the back as straight as possible, because that way, if we're just bending the upper back, we're not doing anything with the lower body. We're just rounding the upper back. So when you're lifting the chest and anchoring, leveraging forward from the waist, you're getting into the backs of the legs, flexibility of the hips, and lengthening out the lower back. So come down here and breathe for a few moments, whatever depth you get into. Start to slow the breath, maybe close the eyes, and just concentrate here. So the 6th chakra is known as the Ajna Chakra. It's in the 3rd eye, which is the center of the forehead. It's the seat of our cognitive mind. It's represented by the color indigo, which is a dark sort of purple bluish color. And it's associated with light, illumination. It's represented by a 2-petaled lotus. And Ajna means to command or perceive. And then inhale, come up. So moving into tortoise, we just bend these knees here. And then bring the hands down in between. And maybe you can slot one arm underneath the back of the knee. So your arm here will be internally rotated, and bring the hands flat to the floor. Maybe you can do the other side. Now this might be your position. I find this pose very restrictive, not just physically, but mentally. This might be your position. So depending on how much of a forward bend you've got will depend on how deep you get into this pose. But if it's okay with your body, maybe start to slide the feet out and straighten the legs. bringing the forehead towards the floor. So this pose really helps us turn inward. And remember, only goes deep as feels good in your body. This is very, very intense on the hamstrings. So don't do yourself any damage. 1 minute glory on the mat is really not worth 18 months of rehab for a torn hamstring. And when you're ready, start to wiggle out. And just bring the legs in front. Just windscreen wipe them side to side. So say that's very intense, that pose. I always feel kind of in a mild panic when I do it because I'm so closed in. But it's a pose that really helps you turn inward and confront who you are, really. And from here we'll just move into Shavasana. So bringing the body down, flat to the floor. Maybe you're craving some movement in your body. Just do whatever feels good for you. I'm just going to bring my knees into the chest. Rock gently from side to side, and then the eyes closed. Just release the legs out one by one, allowing them to flop open. Palms to the sky, shoulders are released down the back, and the chin is tucked. And just surrender the breath here, melt into the earth, and breathe. So as you lay here, I'll just read to you a passage all about the Ajna Chakra. Called the Eye of Knowledge, Ajna Chakra is the seat of the cognitive mind and its intellectual reasoning and mental abilities. With an activated sixth chakra, intelligence, concentration and memory expand, and the mind becomes strong and steady. The Sanskrit roots of Ajna mean to know and to command. This lotus of command coordinates the 5 sense perceptions and dimensions of awareness embodied in the lower 5 chakras. All incoming information from the body's sense organs comes into the brain through the 6th chakra for processing. The cognitive mind functions as the 6th sense, perception, the organizing consciousness that receives information from the 5 sense organs. It gathers and interprets based on past experiences and belief structures. The cognitive mind is a fusion of what we have learned and what we believe, a combination of personal experiences, emotional patterns and memories. We identify these familiar structures of thinking and emotions as our mind, and through our sense perceptions and memory, we create our perception of reality. So just start to wiggle the fingers and toes, coming back into the body. Interlace the fingers above the head maybe, and stretching the toes in the opposite direction. Full body stretch. And when you're ready, bring the knees in one by one to the chest. And then roll over onto your favorite side. Maybe pausing for a moment in a fetal position, using the palms underneath the cheek as a pillow. And then when you're ready with the eyes closed, just push yourself up to a comfortable seated position. And bring the palms together at the chest, fingertips pressing into fingertips. We'll bring this prayer up to the third eye, to the forehead, Ajna Chakra, center of our cognitive mind and our intellectual abilities, our perception, and how we see the world. The fingertips to the lips, and then back to the heart. Take a deep inhale, deep exhale. Thank you for practicing this class with me today. I hope you have some insight into the sixth chakra, and I hope to practice again with you soon. Thank you. That was a quick class, just touching on the sixth chakra even. There's so much to learn about them, so many different things, all the clues that we have in our body and in our minds about when they're excessive or deficient or they're balanced. As I said at the start of class, you can check out below this video and get some resources about how to balance your chakras. Thank you again for practicing with me. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.